Hello, everyone. Welcome to the quarterly report for winter 2025. My name is Hunter Dugongs. Ignore the fake name on the Google Meet. It is a pleasure to be presenting a pretty strong quarter for Sydney Smash, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, it's just an absolute pleasure to be here. I can't wait to talk about the the results for this quarter. Um, but here we go. Without further ado, so this is the presentation, the quarterly presentation for Sydney Smash and its strongest performers in its portfolio. Just as a forward, this was prepared by the following Dugongs. So that is me. I'm right now the acting uh, managing partner for the Sydney Smash portfolio. We also have Ryan, Cloudy, Johto, and Nichiren. Big thank you to Nichiren for joining this panel. He's a very, very, very good intern. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So just a really quick forward here and a disclaimer. The following is not to be considered financial advice. In fact, we consider it to be really high quality financial guidance. So not advice, but very strongly opinionated guidance on things that may or may not happen, which we are not liable for. Now, beyond that, I also wanted to say that unfortunately, a few assets have missed the deadline for their result submission, just missed out here. So we actually had the number 11th rank, Isaac, the Fox main, otherwise known as Mr. Slumbus, and number 12 is Sumi, the brilliant Robin main as well. Very you know, strong stocks. I would expect them to be showing up in the portfolio in future quarters to come. All right. So how this presentation is going to work from here on in, we're going to go through each slide. Each slide will have one rank on it, ranks 10 to 1. And then in the appendix, there will be a little bit of a surprise as well for those avid watchers. So without further ado, let's get into the top 10 for Sydney Smash Winter Q3. Alrighty. Number 1, number 10, 1-0. My bad. It's Dugongs. I don't know how I'm pretty familiar with this stock myself, quite personally, actually. Um, I hear of very handsome stock analysts and people really love him. Homegrown prospect. It's just what a lovely story we've got to see it here. Um, you know, a little bit surprising. Has had a few funny quarters recently, but is coming in at number 10. So here we have a classic kind of skill allocation radar diagram. I've seen it come around Twitter recently as well. Dugong's really set the meta here just a little bit before that Twitter trend. So suck it, US. But here you can see in the graph that Dugong's we've got a very strong asset portfolios in mashing reactions and ledge trapping. Mashing really, is the core emphasis to this asset's appeal. Loves the mash, loves the A button, has sprained his hand a few times doing it, but you love to see it. The inverse, this is what kind of makes him a very mercurial stock. His patience is at an all-time low, despite his age. He's not a very patient man, and also his value tends to plummet when major season is around. So analysts and day traders tend to really look out for the major season, and they really pay attention to the calendar there as well. So you don't want to be caught in the seasons where people are selling. Lots of shorts there. Just going over the analyst summary here. So we've got strengths. As I said, great brand value. people are really mashers at heart, so they really like to rally behind Dugongs here. And also, once again, he's a mature and experienced asset, has proven quite a strong value over some time. And we expect him to continue to do so. When it comes to his weaknesses, his asset value, as I said, does tend to plummet during majors. And also, the CEO is often criticized for being the company's own worst enemy, tends to make some really poor decisions in the heat of the moment, which, yeah, it can irk investors here and there. But, sometimes you need a visionary, even if the visionary is a little bit insane. But yeah, that's really capping off rank number 10 in Dugongs. Moving on to the next one, we have at rank number 9 Robotic Joe. So, uh, really a fan favorite as well. Joe is uh, the resident mid-tier hero. I guess some people would classify Marth as not a mid-tier, but I think he could be there. Joe definitely makes a good case for that. Um, but yeah, some people describe him as a hero. Some people kind of describe him as a scam artist, which we're about to get into. But Robotic Joe is a semi new stock. He's been in this rankings a handful of times now. But yeah, the analysts really love him. So we really expect the future value of this company to skyrocket, depending on a few factors. So as you can see here, the graph shows that when we're selecting Robotic Joe's characters, you must choose the worst version of a high tier character, i.e., Pichu is obviously just the worst Pikachu, and Marth is clearly just the worst Steve. And we also have to have a character which kills at sub 50. So when you kind of combine these two criteria, you get Robotic Joe's mains. So when we are looking at the analyst summary, uh, his strengths is he always looks good in comparison to top tier mains. When people watch him, their jaws are just gaping wide open. They just don't know how he does it every time. Investors are really also excited by the potential of, like, what if he picks a character that doesn't absolutely suck? He could just change the world. So there's a bit of a built-in value into that proposition as well. His weaknesses is, well, sometimes this asset is really capable of the Martharitis, which isn't particularly great. And there's also potential for Joe to invest in even worse characters, which is just an analyst potential nightmare there. So that is capping off rank number 9, Robotic Joe. Well done this season. Next, we have rank number 8, Morgone. Morgs is obviously a very he's been in the PR now for, I think, like, God, probably 18 months, a little bit longer. He's everyone's favorite weekend warrior, but not for the typical reasons. Normally that's a working class man, but here we actually have a child. But investors are really keen for, you know, Morg to start trading in the offstage exchange in a few years. This is where the market for bullying people much older than him really will become quite large. Um, but here we have the typical Morgone adult bullying index. So we've got Morgone versus adults, who is bullied the most by a child. This is actually statistically accurate to the um, stats provided by analyst Shitashi, who is obviously he works out of the office over in Brisbane, Queensland. But here, unfortunately, the people who take the crown in the Morgone takes your lunch money area, we've got GPS, Bonsai, Sushi, TC, Robotic Joe, previous rank number 9. We just spoke about Amro, Sage, and Sheep. So a mix of pretty strong players, if you don't mind me asking. Then the next section, we have frequently bullied by a child, Violet, Froggo, Food, Gubbo, Guts, Chip, and Isaac. Quite a few ranked names also in that category. We've also a few hidden bosses and demons in the mix there as well. You've then got the competitive bullying category of players who like to trade sets with Morgone in Keenansaurus Dugong's Fierce and Ryan. No surprise that those players are there, but as you can see, that subsection of players is much smaller than the other two. And then finally, we've got the people who actually get joy out of bullying and tormenting a child, and Relo, Unfezant, DMO, and Shmu. I think all these players have created a dark pact with Satan to make sure that Morgone is oppressed. So, there's a Morg kind of gets the moral victory there. When we're looking at the analyst summary, analysts really love the strong brand narrative and the story Morgone tells. It's very fun to get behind a child bullying adults. I think people really like that. I believe the rights to his Netflix show are going to be picked up pretty soon as well. And also, he's the backbone of all lunch money futures. So, just as if people don't know what a future market is, people are betting on the price of lunch money. And Morgone really controls the flow of funds there. So he can really, like the diamonds market, just really pump up the availability of cash and pump up the price of lunches if he so wants to. Um, his weaknesses, he has a pretty low return against those top ranked assets who like to bully children, but once again, moral victory here kind of prevails. And also, it's a potentially immoral investment because, once again, Morgone's happiness comes at the cost of the happiness of these poor adults, all listed and doxed on this list here. But well done to Morgone for reaching rank number 8. We're going to move on to the next one. Number 7, we have Coleman. Uh, he's another pretty mercurial but high value company. This stock produces some very, very high highs and some incredibly low lows. We're quite grateful because he often likes to redistribute his ELO to the mid cap companies. So they're very grateful, often citing him in their quarterly reports. So here, as you can see, we've got the W-shaped tournomic cycle, which is really just the average Coleman season. So just in the 5 tournaments he beat DMO by playing him in grands. That one is always a sure bet. He always seems to win that. So that was his first tournament of the season. The next tournament, he came 17th because he ran into Kathy Cutie Pie in winners round 2. Kathy, as all the analysts know, crushed him and will probably crush him again next time they play. The next tournament, though, he then beats seeds 1 and 4, DMO again being one of those. But then decides to lose to Isaac and comes third. That's just a typical Colbro experience. Uh, the tournament after that, pretty good result. He doesn't hit a single waft and comes 17th again. And then the week after, he's decided he knows how to hit wafts. So that's just a pattern we seem to see every season. And I'm sure that if you follow the tournomic cycle, you will also find great success of trading the stock. So just going through the analyst summary, he's got massive upside on the days where he can hit waft. He's beloved by day traders who pay attention. His weaknesses are shareholder morale really will collapse when a waft is missed. People tend to sell in mass when they see the first dropped waft. And he also has poor form into any hidden boss archetype. Coming up next, we have rank number 6, Johto. This one's quite a funny one as well, but in a similar vein to Coleman, he has a very mercurial nature, but this one is kind of funny because it's relatively self-inflicted. Um, I think the investors will really need to have a talk to the CEO of Johto Party Limited for some, funky decision making here. But here we've got the unique to Johto, the ELO terrorism loss statement. This is the official ranking of Johnny's worst characters, otherwise known as the ELO terrorists. On the left here, we can see Shulk, the supreme ELO terrorist. I'm sure he's hiding in a cave somewhere. Someone's got to find him. Otherwise, he's going to pop out again. And then we have the least of Johnny's concern, but is also still pretty bad in Cloud. All these characters were filtered out, so we made sure that these characters all played more than I think 10 games. So yeah, that's this is Johnny's definitive rank of worst characters. In the analyst summary, we can see that look, he spent a lot of elo on character R&D. He's researched all the characters he should know not to play, and I hope he doesn't play them and do any further research to see if there's any potential upside. Because trust me, there isn't. And there's also potential for massive buy low, sell high, and gain. Um, once you if you buy in the post Wolf season, you may be able to get that juicy crumb, which Johto's really known for. Um, his weaknesses is it's highly speculative season to season. You don't really know if he's gonna be trolling or not. So yeah. Uh, and then the second point is there's potential once again for that Shulk to come out of his cave again and play some more. And God, the investors really hope they don't. It's gonna make the GFC seem uh pretty bad. Pretty good. Sorry. Uh, Number 5, we have Ryan. So moving on, uh, is Ryan's always consistently ranked player whose tweet performance ratio proves to be a pretty strong indicator to its asset value. As you can see here in the Ryan tweet to ranking ratio, the Ryan formula shows that uh, when Ryan doesn't tweet as much, he's more focused on the game, so he performs better. But it comes at a trade off as people think he has died. And then when he tweets too much, his rankings actually they get worse. And he ends up being called Ryan from Twitter. So he's got a pretty funky brand value there. His strengths though is it's very bullish if Twitter continues to get worse, which it has a very strong track record of doing so. I can't wait to see how Elon innovates on that one. And also, there's a guaranteed forecasting method for how Ryan will perform. His weaknesses, though, is investors are terrified of the day that Ryan actually becomes funny. Oh, God, that's just going to be a nightmare for them. And he often produces misleading graphs with the number of tweets and ranking, trying to see a positive correlation there. It is, in fact, not so. All right, and that is Ryan. Next on number 4, we have DMO with the character churn cycle. DMO is our resident MK Leo imposter. The scene knows him for his 2 biggest assets, but we also know that his value well transcends that. So here we've got the cycle. We've got DMO really getting upset playing Joker. He's going to say he's going to retire, then decides to play Byleth, makes grands 4 weeks in a row, picks up Joker again, and the cycle repeats itself. Typical DMO story. Uh, Really, when we're talking about the summary, strengths, he's got predictable returns post Joker depression. So that's not playing Joker, that's playing Byleth, just for those a bit confused. And he also has guaranteed peak performance streaks when he's playing Byleth and not Joker. His weaknesses, though, is the market swings affect. There are market swings affected by his psychological state, usually Joker induced, and also investors may have to endure a potential cloud season coming up. So that's really scaring the markets there as well. So well done to DMO for getting 4th, and I can't wait to see a Joker play again. Uh, at number 3, we have a crowd favorite in Relo. Now, um, he really is the status of an all-knowing stock. This man is not afraid of investing in the things he likes, which apparently includes American YouTubers. So here we have the typical tournament cash flow performance of Relo over a season. So this is the bank balance starting and closing. So we can see that he gains from winning tournaments, and then he randomly decides to pay $300 to ISOR um, to try learn how to beat a guy he already beats. He then loses to that very same player, then decides to win 2 more tournaments, and then caps off that win with a beautiful scoop of Anita's ice cream. So his strengths, he's got really strong recovery post massive R&D spend. So that's research and discovery. which really proves he's quite a robust asset. He's able to also identify strong stocks and investments and capital deployment, such as Cookie Man. Um, his weaknesses, though, is analysts have labeled the Sonic as a catastrophic liability, so we don't really want to see him play that, but we all know he's going to do that anyways. And also, there's significantly unnecessary spend used on haphazard R&D. The CEO of Relo Incorporated is questionably, maybe embezzling funds there. Next up, we have number 2 in Shmu. Uh, Shmu is, the top player's player really. As we can see, he's despite his consistently strong rankings, Shmu is always capable of a random blunder here and there. Um, we've got the Shmu ELO Futures Volatility Index, so EVI, uh, and it really tells the typical story for Shmu. So he starts off with an amazing ELO. He pumps it up by farming the Roys, tends to lose to Froggo. Then he makes DMO crash out. He then loses to 2 hidden bosses, and then ends up farming more Roys to end back up at his starting elo. So a bit of a cycle there, but you know you can't really be too upset with being that high on the elo scale, anyways. So when we're talking about the analyst summary, his strengths is his very consistent store of elo value. If the market is fluctuating, just bet on Shmu. You know he's going to end up at the same spot. And he's also got a very predictable buy low, sell high cycle. Once you once there's a bit of a dip, just buy it. It's going to go back up. The weaknesses though is there's a seasonal downturn from mid-tier heroes, so you definitely don't want to buy the peak because Kengu may show up. And also long-term growth can be hindered by its cyclical nature until he finds a better character other than ye old Pikachu. And that is number 2. And finally, we have number 1. Congratulations to Unfezant. There's no real surprise there. This Mario Palu is just an all-time favorite for investors and analysts. He's consistently beating his previous performance and earnings, and he's always exceeding his forecasts. He never really lets down. Here we have the CEO's rather brilliant and innovative way to select a character. Um, it really depends on, if you're gonna play Demo or DD, just choose anything. They're gonna crash out anyways. And then it's really, what are you gonna do when you make it the grands? The only other thing is we do have a bit of a funky thing, which I guess like the business schools haven't really figured out as to why he decides to play Mario into the best Kazuya in the country, but that's yeah, we trust him. We trust him. The value keeps going up. You can't really argue against this CEO. He's beloved. So when we go to the analyst summary, we've got a really nice, strong, diversified character portfolio. 2 characters who do very different things. He's very stable and consistent in his rankings. Always number 1. Always will be. His weaknesses, well, when he runs into Cookie Zack, there's a bit of speculation which occurs, and also the asset is prone to causing a bit of mental damage. It's not a very ethical thing to hold in your portfolio because it will send people on a spiral. And that's our top 10 ranking for Sydney. We're just going to go on to the appendix now, but congratulations to these assets who have made it. But moving on to our appendix, we have the top 40. So coming in, we've got the 10 you can see there. Congratulations to the next 10 here. Very well done. You've got their positions, their names, and their change in ranks. There's a lot of fluctuation that you would expect. So yeah, congratulations to these players. And then the next part as well, we've got the remaining half of the 40 here, all with their new roles. A lot of returns as well. Congratulations to all the players who made it back on. Very well done. And I'm excited to see how all you guys go in the next season. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. All right.